month. It is the 1st of March 2024. My name is Kelvin Nyakundi and this is Business Today. Now today we'll be looking at some of the stories that have been making headlines over the week in the world of business. We'll be just cruising over and looking at Kenya's inflation, which has now hit 6.3%. We'll also be looking at the Eurobond payment, the jitters, where we might not be out of the woods yet. Also the housing levy, which has been maybe declared unlawful by the Attorney General Justin Muturi, who wrote a statement to KRA Commissioner Watanga yesterday against collecting the tax. And discussing all this is Ken Gishinga, who is an economist from Mentoria. He's joining us right here in studio. Ken, good afternoon. Just give us a little bit of your highlights in the world of business this week.
Many thanks, Kelvin. Always a pleasure to be here. Indeed, this week, yesterday, we saw the inflation numbers coming in. So I think that will be an important talking point on how prices are affecting households. Broadly speaking, there's also the World Trade Organization meetings in Abu Dhabi. What does that mean for trade? So there's quite a bit to discuss.
All right, Gishinga, thank you so much for that. And now let us look at, start with the inflation, where Kenya's inflation for February hit a 23-month low of 6.3%. Now, according to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, that is KNBS, the drop in inflation is as a result of the drop in the cost of essential foods, relieving strain on most low-income households. However, energy prices, specifically fuel and electricity, saw an increase. Now, data published by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics indicates that housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels index decreased by 0.8%. Now, between January and February this year, mainly due to a drop in prices of 200 kilowatt hours and 50 kilowatt hours of electricity by 9.3% and 11% respectively. Now, over the past month, the price of spinach, a common food item, increased the most by 3.9%, while beef with bones saw the smallest increase at 1.4%. Now, on the other hand, the price of tomatoes dropped the most by 5.7%, and fresh milk saw the smallest decrease at 0.2%. Now, Ken, when we look at these numbers, Kenya's inflation, first of all, at 6.3%, which is a 23-month low. And the last time we were at a certain, almost this same amount was 2022. Now, what does this mean for Kenya going forward, even with these particular figures?
Well, Kevin, the rainfall patterns have been fairly adequate, particularly January and February. So we are seeing quite a good harvest coming through, and that plays in quite significantly in food inflation. And we've seen prices of some commodities starting to come down. So that's a good thing. And we are not yet even in the long rain season. So we might actually have a bumper harvest this year. That said, there's still some segments that we saw going up, some key items. So that's still a sense of concern, but I think it starts becoming a relief for many households that really are between a rock and a hard place.
And now the 6.3%, when we look at that number, how is it now going to be shaping the world of business, especially in Kenya, and how we do business going forward?
Well, the main way it plays through is through monetary policy. Obviously, the central bank has a singular mandate of price stability, and they take a look at these numbers very closely. So the fact that it's coming down could indicate that possibly the CBK might want to start considering lowering interest rates, possibly in the next few months. And that should be a relief for many Kenyans, because high interest rates are causing borrowers a lot of strain. They're creating high non-performing loans in the banking sector, and Kenyans really can't wait to start seeing interest rates coming down. So I think this will be a key important indicator on how that will play out.
And we've also seen from this particular release yesterday that fuel and electricity sort of increased a bit. when we look at how the energy sector in the country has been performing since the year started up to now, and then now that you've mentioned about the rains also increasing, and we are in a season of a little bit of rainfall right now, will it help when it comes to reducing this even in the coming months?
Yeah, that was quite a curious observation, Kelvin, not least because the exchange rate has strengthened in favor of the shilling in the last couple of weeks. So a lot of people I've seen on social media groups, people asking, with a stronger shilling, the imported fuel we get, should be cheaper. All the imported energy sources that we get should be cheaper, but that's not really being reflected in the pricings. And I think that has to do with the contract durations. I think sometimes these contracts are for a particular period of time, and when that ends, maybe that's when the new prices will come in. So hopefully, maybe in the month of April and May, we might start seeing the effect of that exchange rate really helping in lowering that particular type of energy inflation.
All right, thank you so much for that. Now we can move on and look at Eurobond, where Kenya has successfully issued a new Eurobond worth $1.5 billion US, which is 200